Hi everyone. All right, I already pulled some cards for you. I'm gonna pull a little bit more just from my teacup. We have the Ace of Swords and Queen of Cups. And Perfection. We have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups, Queen of Cups, Ace of Swords. The message right now from these three is basically evaluate and reevaluate what it is that you truly want. Go back to the core of why you started, what you're currently involved in, or like why you're pursuing something, and get to the core issue of that, the core value of why that even began, because it feels like this feeling of picking back up from where you left off, but then trying to regain that awareness again of why you even started to begin with, because there's a middle part where you're distracted. So now you're getting back to trying to restructure your time, your mind, your days, whatever, and saying, well, what was that? Like I had this idea, or I had this plan, or I had this divine message, and how do I get that again, and what was it? Because I don't see it as clearly. So that's a little side message to kind of frame this for you. So the other day I picked some cards for you guys, and I had Standstill and Gateway. And they're giving me the same message as one of my prior readings, and kind of a continuation of those, but you don't have to watch those in order to get the gist of this. So I thought to myself, okay, let's see if the message kind of unfolds a little bit differently over the next coming days and what comes through. And in fact, it did not change. The message did not change. And I pulled some cards prior to starting this reading today, and we have One Ring Circus, Stuck in the Mud. So the message I'm getting here is about being mindful of your next moves. It feels like 4 months from the time that you're watching this. There's a significance to the number 4 when it comes to a date. So whether that's April, 4 months, 4 weeks, 4 days, 4 days would be more about the development of something. I don't feel like this would be a major change. I think it would take closer to months. Years, I don't know, I think that would bring it down to about 2 years, but in increments of like quarterly reports, we'll say, on your life. So how do we begin? Okay, let's start with these cards. Let's start with your reading with these cards and the message I was getting here. So it was actually, this is the exact wording that I was getting when I was looking at these, the ones I got today, which is stuck in the mud. You're stuck in the mud. Both of these animals here, they look like they're stuck. And the story that I was getting with that is pluff mud. Sometimes I call it ploof, so I'm gonna interchange that. It's actually called pluff mud. It's a bit like quicksand, right? It's kind of in the marshy areas, potentially in these areas that are close to coastal waters. So it's a mixture of like decaying matter and mud and all of this stuff kind of mixed in, and it creates a sandy, muddy type of quicksand. And it's actually very dangerous to be in, because you will get stuck and you will sink, and you don't know the depths of it, and there's razor sharp oysters and all these different things that are going on in there. But a lot of people enjoy it. Some people play in it, some people find it funny. Like it's the way that you perceive it and the way that you handle the situation kind of determines your reaction to this pluff mud, right? And so the story that I'm getting here with this is that you are this unicorn. You're this unicorn that is now stuck in the mud. And when we talk about really about strategizing, because that's what I'm seeing as your overall message of what you should be doing, and this is being strategic, is when you go back to your origins, when you go back to why you started something, right? And so with being stuck in the mud as this unicorn in this pluff mud, it's saying, well, you have an opportunity by being physically stuck in this situation. Like, there's actually literally the only thing really holding you back, like there's realistic reasons, like there's real life reasons why you're stuck, right? There's like you either have time or resources that are limiting you from taking action. This isn't something that you can just up and remove yourself from without practical real life consequences that would not be conducive to your overall way of living, way of life. Or if this is like, you know, let's say you're aiming towards a particular goal, but you have to go through those processes in order to get there, right? However this makes sense for you, either way, you are legitimately having to get yourself out of this situation in a practical manner. You can't just be sloshing around, and you also can't be staying still. If you stay still in pluff mud, you will sink. You have to actually get yourself out of it. The best way to get out of it is to kind of like disperse your weight evenly to get yourself, you know, like flop yourself out of it, to pull yourself out of it. If you're just kind of going around sporadically, then you can get yourself in a worse situation. You'll get parts of you stuck that you can't easily get out of, right? And so that's what I'm seeing here is strategize. You have to strategize, and being stuck in this situation allows your mind to be able to see the different ways that you can get yourself out of this situation, or you can progress in this situation. What is it that you can do now as everyday tasks that are going to put you closer to your goal? What is it that you can do every day that's going to get you more structured, more financial backing, or more education, or whatever it is that you need to do? Or let's say it's a goal of losing weight. Like, what small task can you do every day that's going to get you to that overall goal? And there's going to be messages. It's coming through as messages to me. But it's multiple. It could be multiple ways, because it's either directly from people within your community, or this could be people who are watching you or wanting to help you, or this is your the angelic realm. They're going to be coming in and bringing information into you, because as you're stuck in this situation, if you look at the card, you can see all kinds of like beautiful scenery in the background, right? There's waterfalls, there's ferns, there's rock formations, there's clouds, there's sun peeking through, there's a bridge. There's just a lot of beauty that's within this card. But if you're so hyper focused on the situation that you're in, and you're looking at it from the perception of being stuck and being scared, then you're going to be unaware of everything else that's around you. Now, you can also look at it in the perspective, sorry, there's like something on my lip. You can also look at it as a perspective of enjoying yourself, and you know, on like children on vacation and playing in the mud, and you're still hyper focused on that, but it's in a more playful way, right? Or you can just look at it sometimes like, you know, when you're like basking in the moment. So it doesn't really matter whether, like, it's kind of like pulling yourself out of the experience altogether and looking at it from an overall perspective. It's like I can enjoy this moment, or I can be terrified of this moment, but I can also pull myself out of it and see everything for all it is. So like, let's say you're at the beach in these little marsh areas, and you're playing in the pluff mud, and you in that moment, you're like, you know what, this is such a beautiful day. You look up at the clouds, you look up, you look around at the beach, you look at the ocean, you look at everyone that's around there, instead of just kind of being focused on the people that you're around, and seeing everything, and then thinking about the birds that are around there, thinking about the shells and all the different creatures that are living in there, and then like pulling yourself out of that and seeing like just like your perspective on like where everyone else is experiencing the world in that moment. Is like having this full awareness, full mental awareness of all of what's going on in that very moment. And that's really being encouraged here, because it's giving you patience. It's giving you patience in some ways. It's allowing yourself to really just see things for the way that they are, and realizing like being able to discern what you can control and what you cannot control, and within the things that you can control, how can you restructure it into ways that are more productive for you, and the things that you cannot control, how can you change your perception on it so that that's something that's easier to handle, or something that you don't even have to deal with at all, right? Like kind of just reframing everything. And that's kind of giving you the real truth of your circumstances. The real truth meaning that some things are bendable. The truth meaning that you're potentially associating feelings to things that you don't really necessarily have to, if that makes sense. Like, again, a perspective shift. You could look at it in different ways. And how can you bend that? How can you bend? It's not bending the truth, but it's bending your perception so that you can take a different outlook on it and make it where you're more steadfast in the direction that you're wanting to head towards. They're showing me another example of how like with the beach, let's say you want to go on vacation, and the average person, you know, you have to take time off work. You have to make sure that you even have enough time to be able to take off of work. So maybe you work overtime some days. It's like it takes a lot of planning, right? Or if you have children, then you have to make sure your kids are out of school, or you have to make sure that, you know, your husband or your wife is able to take off of work as well. And like, then you have to find the hotel, and you have to do this and do this, and it's a process, right? But the reward is that end goal, right? To go on vacation, go to the beach, have a good time, relax, unwind, and enjoy yourself, right? So it's the development. So it's taking those small actions that lead up to you going on vacation, right? This permanent vacation, because it's not just a state of mind, a state of being, but it's a new life that you're headed towards. There's a relaxed vibe. It feels like almost like a burst, or like it kind of feels like a popping sensation, where it's like a pressure buildup, and then a popping where it's just like released tension, where instead of being a one ring circus, which is kind of where you're at right now, you have to do this. So what I'm saying is, like, you have to do it quietly, you have to do it by yourself, you have to do it alone. You're meant to do this alone. It's also a mental journey for you as well, a mental and spiritual journey. But in that, you're also the star of the show. You're also the star of the show, and you're going to be rewarded for this. And you have everything already available to you. You have all of the best of the best, again, of like just like a strong willpower, strong mind, well developed, like, you know, and you have you're intelligent, like everything. And so recognizing that, by reevaluating everything, you're going to be able to recognize that in yourself, and you're going to be able to make those more productive efforts towards what it is that you're wanting to do. And I'm seeing also, again, it's this information that's coming through, and it feels like it's either like information from the past, someone from the past, or it's like actual divine ancient information, like something from the past coming through. Because when we go back to the unicorn and the marshland and the pluff mud, they're showing me how some of these marshes are very ancient, and how kind of going back to the story of this too, where you're both the Native American and you're the explorer, and how you know, an explorer may not know that they could get stuck in the mud. They may not know that, but the natives would, and they wouldn't know how to handle it. Like, the explorers may not know how to handle it, and unbeknownst to them, it's a full moon, and they don't know anything about the tides and how that operates in this place that they're exploring. And so if they stay, or whatever they think, they could just wait it out until the tide comes in, it might be very detrimental for them. And so it's again, it's like you're gonna be going back to, how do we say this? Okay, so let's say, okay, I'm asking for like a better clarification, but they're just giving me a different story. So let's use this story and just see how this makes sense. Let's say you had this plan, like you were gonna write a book or something, right? And you sit down and you're like, okay, the reason why I want to write this book is because I received some sort of like divine intelligence. Like, I have this information that's coming to me, and I'm gonna sit down and just write it all down. It's like whatever the angels have sung to me. It's like Einstein received all this information. Einstein said that anyway, yeah. So you're like Einstein, you're writing all this down. You're like, this is the way that things are, whatever. And then something distracts you. Something pulls you away from you writing all of this information down. And so you go and you do that, and you kind of get lost in that a little bit. It's not bad. It's just you're kind of more present in the 3D. You're present in, you know, the practical nature of life, and kind of like surface level connections, or like that kind of thing. And then you go back to start writing again. You're like seeing things different. You're seeing things different because it's like you're still kind of that bleed through of the 3D. It's almost like you have to like really get into deep meditation to get it again. But even then, it's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. And I'm looking at the papers, and before the paper looked like it was glowing, and it was, you know, everything was just like so perfect, simpatico, everything was just like, you know, and now I look at it, it's just a piece of paper, and it's just, you know, whatever. And so, and it kind of looks like what I was saying, where it's like you have the best of everything, and you know you do, but it's not really like fluid. It's not working together. And so you're like, how can I get these to be simpatico? How do I get them to come in and work together? And the message is, it's just start writing. Just start writing. Don't worry about the details. Don't worry about if it's gonna come or not. Don't worry about what was. Worry about why you started to begin with, right? Which is, at the core of it, you received this information, you felt it in your heart, you felt motivated to do it, you knew it was the right thing to do, so do that. Because that go back to the origins and just do that again. And as you keep working towards it, it's coming in again, but differently. It's coming in, honestly, it feels more powerfully than it did before. Because it feels like when you first started, you were young. You weren't as you're still a novice. And because you did this work and then you stepped away from it and you were stuck because you were kind of stuck in the, you were stuck in a 3D, which obviously there, you can't just be dreamy all day, every day, and survive in the world. There has to be some sort of balance, right? And so it's almost like you took yourself completely out of this dreamy 5D, we'll say, like all this kind of like, you know, state of being. And then now you're coming back in and it's more balanced, it's more structured. Now you're intermediate. You're going to be able to balance it all out, and the way that it comes through to you is going to be in a way that is like a more, almost on an even keel, like even caliber. It's like when they came into you before, it would be as if they were teaching you. Now it's more of like, okay, now we can, what is it called? Auctioneers have to do it. Where you like follow someone. It's not the tip of my tongue, but like basically like you're following them. Like you have to shadow work them, that kind of thing, you know. So they're allowing you to work with them. And then of course, like as this continues, you're going to that bursting feeling, that 4-month feeling, or whatever it is, whenever it is, that's when I feel like they're gonna set you free. You're gonna be set free from whatever this is. Hope this is making sense. I know I'm a little bit all over the place with it, with all the different scenarios, but yeah. So the biggest advice, or the biggest message here, is really to have patience in this. You have to be patient, and you have to change, and in patience, and being aware that you are kind of, what is it called? I'm losing my words now, but you have to succumb to the nature of things, the order of things, whether it's time, lack of resources, or whatever. And instead of feeling defeated in it and just staying still, you have to make some sort of everyday effort towards whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. And from there, you can free yourself. You can free yourself. And when those big key points in your life come in where you feel motivated to take action towards something, then do it then. Don't push yourself to do things that are beyond your comfort level. Don't push yourself to do things that you know inherently is not the right time for you to do it. Be strategic in your moves. Be strategic and go with the flow. It's like a samurai, right? Like know when is the right time to take action. And they're showing me like a lion. They're showing me a lion, and a lion is very fierce, very strong, very able-bodied, but they don't just go out all willy-nilly attacking. Like they stalk their prey, they watch their prey, they observe their prey, then they attack their prey, and then they protect their meal, right? They don't just go out and start attacking everyone the second something looks at them, but they will protect it. Because if they go out and attack, then now something else can get it, and there's like all this drama. So it's like just distractions, right? What can you control in this, and where can you conserve your energy and make, when you strike at the right moment. Everything else is preparation. All right, so that's what I see for you guys. And again, don't forget that bursting feeling. Also, there's a son coming through, someone who may have passed away, like a young boy. He feels like he's teenager or younger, is how it's coming through. I don't really see anything else other than that feeling. And a lot of like healing energy coming through. So even if that doesn't resonate with you, there's a lot of healing energy that's coming through, basically saying like through this process you are being healed and redeveloped, in the sense that you're seeing it all. You're seeing it all. It's kind of like looking at these and you see the sun bursting through, right? You see the sun bursting through, but you're able to see it as the rainbow. Like you're able to see the rainbows in the light. Like you can see these other colors, and even in here, it's like you're able to get to higher ground, get to safety, right? Here's kind of the same message where the tide has come through. It's like here you're stuck, but here you're on top of here. And you did it. You did it on your own. You did it yourself. I mean, you did it with the help of this little bird here. You did it with the help of like some sort of message, whether it's divine message or just your own efforts, but you did do it. All right, so that's the message. Bye, guys.